has a different path to get to a second language if they start learning it. And in that path are a myriad of factors that belong only to that one person. And it's hard to compare your experience with someone else's experience. It's hard to plug everything about yourself and the way you learn into someone else's methodology of teaching. Yeah, and everybody has a different experience. In my master's, I'm doing something on trying to explore tools that will help adults learn a second language for the first time, which is very different than, say, children. And you can even separate it out and say, a child that starts at the age of 9 is a very different experience than a child that starts from the age of 2 or 3. And then
And the context.
I'm sorry?
And their context change, because
Yeah.
maybe you could have two students that are the same age
Yeah.
and studying the same level, academic level,
Yeah.
but they have different experiences. Maybe one is more accustomed to using media or social networks in English, or has more contact with people who speak the language than
Yeah.
the other one, and
Yeah, I mean,
different thing.
it's very different. I would argue that for adults, grammar can be a lot more useful tool than it would be for a child. I remember studying English grammar as a child, probably about the same in the 5th grade or whatever, third, fourth grade, studying English grammar, and it was not enjoyable. I remember not understanding what the point of it was, especially, a grammar in my own language. And if I were to learn a second language at that point in time, forced into grammar, I would just be lost. And adults are very different as well. You might have adults that go into something feeling like, well, I'm going to take a class. I saw an advertisement that said, if you come with us, you can be fluent in 6 months. And so I'm going to take the class and see what happens.
They might have a magic wand.
Yeah. And then you'll have other adults that perhaps have a completely different mindset when they go into it. Not necessarily the correct mindset, not necessarily the most healthy mindset, but a completely different mindset that says, I'm just going to go to the bookstore and get some books, and in a couple of months, I'm going to learn this language. Would that work? Would it not work? It depends on what the person puts into it. In adult classes, it's always a kind of a crapshoot. If you have a group, what's going to work best with them if they're at a very beginner level and they know absolutely nothing about the language. I've always felt that trying to push them towards being proactive about their own learning will be helpful for them and beneficial. If I say proactive, I mean they themselves taking control of their own learning, putting themselves in the driver's seat anyway, and asking themselves, what's going to help me understand this? Again, that's different for every adult. I think an adult takes a proactive position towards learning a language. I think the grammar can be very helpful for them, but they've got to explore the grammar on their own terms and figure out their own particular questions that they want to ask somebody that can help them make sense of it.
Now that you're mentioning that, it just pops in my mind. There are I think we could consider 4 different factors, or I don't know if we can actually call them factors, but 4 points. When you think about a child or a young learner learning a second language, one of the most difficult things that I've seen teachers struggle with is to get them motivated into learning and to continue with the motivation level to the point they finally raise it, But they have this beautiful ability and flexibility to learn. When you take a look at an adult learner, then you realize that the levels of motivation are always high because they're doing it because they really want to do it. So you don't struggle with that part as much as you do with a kid, to a point, okay? Yeah. But the flexibility of the learning process in their minds, it's more complex and more, how can I say it? Well, yeah, it's not as flexible as it is for a child. So there are 4 different things that just go like that as they grow. And adults do have the motivation to learn, but the problem is that they don't think they can actually do it. So that
That's,
belief.
that's some adult, but there are other adults that have a completely different mindset and absolutely are perplexed the moment that they don't understand something because they were completely in the opposite mindset of, I can do this, I can do it very easily. And yet when they run into a problem, they're very perplexed by that. Why do I not understand it?
I think it all depends on the type of activities they carry out, or their profile, no? Because I take the example of my mother. My mother, well, while we were in the States, she wanted to learn English because she wanted to communicate fluently. But my brother and I were always bullying her around because of her pronunciation and all of that. So she ended up hating English. So
Yeah,
she stopped. And I'm talking that, I mean, I'm saying that this happened like what, 30 something years ago?
yeah,
Now she's learning right now. But she decided to learn. She said, no, I'm going to try it. And it's going to be difficult. Probably yes, probably not, but I'm going to try it. So she's finding tools. She's got this Rosetta Stone thing going on. And then she's all addicted to Duolingo. And she tries to watch some programs with subtitles to see how much she can understand. But she's got the motivation. But then the point that I want to make is that sometimes an adult can jump from one point to another regarding on how capable, or yeah, how capable am I of accomplishing this. And the point that I want to say is that many of the things have, or maybe all of the things that take a person to have that way of thinking is something related to emotional things.